Joining us from Washington, D.C., Senator John Cornyn of the state of Texas. Hey, Senator, good to have you with us.
Good morning, Ed. Good to be with you.
Well, I was hoping you could make some sense of what I saw last night. I tried to watch that as just a busy American who was just going to see how his government was doing last night. I didn't like what I saw.
Well, it was to be expected. The president can't run on his record, and he knows that Democrats, particularly in the Senate, who are in an uphill climb to try to maintain their majority, they've got an albatross around their neck, and it's known as the Obama agenda. And so the president did his best to try to change this subject. And what's so unbelievable, Ed, is that the president claims to be a lecturer in constitutional law, or at least he said he was at the University of Chicago Law School, yet the guy simply ignores or wants to overlook the most fundamental aspects of our constitutional system of checks and balances and separated powers. And so he says, I have a pen and I have a phone and I'm going to go it alone. It's really, it's almost embarrassing. Well, it is embarrassing, but he's not embarrassed, and that's shocking to me.
Well, when the president said, I'm going to go it alone last night, and again, joint houses, 435 members of the House and 100 from the Senate, plus the other guests that are there, 535 people that are the legislative branch. It's Republicans and Democrats, but you're the House and the Senate. You guys are the branch of government that creates laws and budgets and appropriations and oversees government. You're the branch that checks the executive branch. When he said, a lot of work with you, but if you don't give me what I want, we're going to go alone, I heard applause last night. Who was clapping?
Well, it wasn't me. and it wasn't our side of the aisle. I guess they've decided to double down. I mean, we heard the same thing when 40-something minutes into the speech, he lauded the effect of Obamacare, neglecting the fact that more people have lost their current coverage due to cancellations and have signed up for either the Medicaid expansion or on the exchanges. But I guess, it was the Democrats who were doubling down on, because they realized they have two choices in November. They can either run with the president, embrace his agenda, or they can run away from it, and that's pretty hard to do. I remember what it was like, and I know you do too, the first 2 years of the presidency when the Democrats controlled both chambers of the House and the Senate. It got us $1 trillion addition national debt known as the stimulus, which didn't have the effect that even its proponents said it would. And we got Obamacare, and we know what a disaster that continues to be. And we got Dodd-Frank, which targeted Wall Street, but for which collateral damage was our local community credit unions and community banks. So that's what happens when Obama and his allies go it alone.
Yeah, I was looking for something. Usually there's, in any speech, there can be a couple of things you could agree with. Nothing resonated with me. That wasn't Obama. Frankly, I didn't like what he proposed. I didn't understand this My IRA or Myra that he mispronounced, even his own grand idea that he threw out there. That I don't understand how that's going to work. But then I listened to the Republican response, and you didn't give it. I wish you had. I frankly really wish you had. I didn't get anything. I didn't get any traction out of that either. As an American, what should I have heard last night from either side?
Well, I think what you should have heard, and what I wish you had heard, is a president who had said that, look, nobody's perfect, and look, we've made some mistakes. I've made some mistakes, and what I'm committed to doing is trying to find some ground where there is consensus. And it's sort of the old 80-20 rule. Even the most ideologically polarized people in the Congress will find some overlap on things they agree on. And what usually you have to try to do is do as much as you can in that consensus, and then leave the rest of the fights for later. But that would have required some humility from the president, and he is famously known for lacking that trait. And unfortunately, I think he's, as I said earlier, doubling down. And this is going to be a disaster for Democrats running for election in November of 2014, but it provides Republicans the best opportunity to get back in charge of the agenda, both in the House and the Senate, and to serve as the ultimate check on this president the last 2 years he's in office.
Senator John Cornyn joined us this morning, was in the session last night, of course, and you know, listened to the speech, listened to the applause lines, and got the sense of where this leadership is going or not going. Senator, in order for the Republicans to be successful in the 2014 election, midterm elections, they're going to have a plan. If you are going to if you're going to outline what the Republicans could run on in 2014, what would it be?
Well, to me, the brightest spot in the American economy is the energy sector. And, of course, you're right there in the energy capital of the world, Houston, Texas. And, you know, the president did pay lip service to the great renaissance in American energy and talked about self-sufficiency in North America. Of course, he's blocking that in part with the Keystone Pipeline, which he refuses to approve, and that's something he could do with that pen he's been touting. And we also know that the biggest threat to fracking and horizontal drilling, which has produced this great renaissance and low-cost American natural gas, which is actually better for the environment. That's one reason why the pollutants have been reduced of late, including carbon. Which actually I don't believe is a pollutant. It's necessary for photosynthesis and plant growth. And so, but the point is, I think that's one sector where he could actually do a lot if he signed the Keystone Pipeline deal, and he would basically tell the EPA and other federal agencies, don't get your hands on fracking. It's being adequately regulated, as it has been for the last 60 or 70 years at the state and local level. And so, you know, and I think he could recognize that this epic failure of Obamacare has not met his expectations. And it's not just the website. It's people who can't keep their policies like he promised. It's people who are finding sticker shock with the cost of this health care because of adverse selection. Only older, sicker people are signing up. And this is going to get nothing but worse before it gets better. But again, Ed, I think that would take a sense of humility in the president, something we keep waiting for. I've been waiting ever since the Simpson-Bowles, the bipartisan debt reduction commission made its recommendations in December 2010 for the president to have an epiphany and to say, you know what, it's not working too well the way I'm doing this, so I maybe ought to try something different. But he just seems unwilling to recognize that.
Yeah, I would encourage you to go ahead and start breathing. I wouldn't hold my breath for the president to give an epiphany. I'm afraid you're going to turn blue. But again, looking to 2014, if I turn to you. And Senator Ted Cruz. I got two great senators from the state of Texas. You guys got a lot of traction and a lot of influence. You've got a good, powerful positions to speak from. You're representing the state that's got the greatest economic impact. We are the jobs haven. Looking ahead to 2014, if I just gave you the pen and paper right now, write out for me what the Republicans need to say for 2014.
Well, we need to recognize that this experiment in big government has been a failure.
Yes.
And the biggest example of that is Obamacare. And so we ought to try the tried and true, and that is as you say, the Texas model, where we still actually believe in the free enterprise system and the power of the private sector to make investments and to create jobs. And that's what we need. We need to put America back to work. And
so other states could enjoy the economic success that we have been blessed with.
Absolutely. That's why Louis Brandeis called the states the laboratories of democracy, because we can see what works and what doesn't work. And you know, the two cities in America that have the lowest unemployment rate are Bismarck, North Dakota, and Midland, Texas. And that's not an accident, because they're sitting on top of the shale gas revolution. So I think there's a whole lot we could do, and all you need to do is look at the Texas model, and I think follow where that leads.
Well, and I think America is, from every poll I've read about what Americans expected from the speech, and of either party, not partisan, but they don't see the top best ideas coming from Washington, D.C. I think you're in a unique position to direct this discussion going into the 2014 election. that we need to turn to the local states, to the Texas model, and quit turning to Washington, D.C.? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I think, and this isn't just an abstract debate about political philosophy on or the size and role of the federal government. We've had an experiment, and the experiment has produced a disastrous result. And notwithstanding the president's trying to put lipstick on the pig last night and come out claiming great victory and claiming credit for things he had nothing to do with, or things that happened in spite of his putting up obstacles to. America is resilient. We will come back. We'll survive this presidency. But unfortunately, we're stuck with him for the next 3 years. And the best thing we can do is to make those incremental gains in November. But the way we do that, I think, is by talking about what's tried and true and what actually works and what doesn't work, and invite people to join us in embracing the Texas model of the free enterprise system, individual liberty, strong national security, and and the American dream.
That's the response I needed to hear last night. I didn't hear, and I appreciate you coming on to share it with us. Senator John Cornyn, thank you for taking time out of your busy morning to join us, sir.
Always, Ed. Thanks. Bye-bye.
My joy to have you.